I need to get this off my chest, all right? You'll probably judge me, to be honest, but whatever. I'm 27-year-old Kinsley, and I'm going to tell you how I essentially destroyed my marriage. Listen to me, though, because I'm not totally to blame. Allow me to take you back to the beginning of this whole affair. In my junior year of college, I got to know William. He would frequent our study group and was a very quiet computer science major. He was always there, even though he wasn't really my type. Puppy dog that follows me everywhere. He was a virgin at the age of 22, which should tell you all you need to know. The problem is that William was safe, and my ex had just left me for a sorority girl. I reasoned that since he was already getting these insane tech internships, I should do the same. The night I stole his virginity is still fresh in my mind. I knew precisely what I was doing, but he was so anxious that he could hardly look at me. In hindsight, he most likely became totally enamored at that point. He would do everything for me after that, including buying me anything and driving me anywhere I wanted to go. When my friends realized the lifestyle he could offer, they quickly stopped talking about me dating him, even if they felt I was crazy. 5 years later, we find ourselves in this upscale Charlotte apartment that he has paid for. Compared to my first dorm room, the walk-in closet is larger. William is making a lot of money as a software architect or something. To be honest, I lose my train of thought when he discusses jobs. He never stops talking about projects, coding, and other such topics. I call in sick around twice a week because I can, but I work part-time at this dental business in the interim. I don't really need the money. You ought to observe William's behavior while he makes purchases. We both know he's not exactly alpha material, so it's kind of pitiful when he tries to be all manly about it, saying things like, "Don't worry, babe, I got this." However, I comply, give him a little boost, and presto, new Gucci purse. My friends find it hard to completely enamored with me. All of them are saddled with men who force them to divide the expenses. This is where things get complicated, though. William has become incredibly dull, criminally dull. Though he is 32, he presents himself as 50. He just wants to spend his time at home playing video games and talking about saving money for a suburban home. Gag me. I'm still making an effort to live my best life in the meanwhile. I want to go out, have fun with my girls, and create memories while I'm still young. When we initially started dating, the age difference didn't really matter, but now it seems like we're in entirely different phases of life. He's focused on creating a family and our future, while I'm still figuring myself out. Furthermore, he was never really my first option, let's face it. I was much more interested in Jake, another boy in college, but he eventually moved to California. Then came my sophomore year's Chris, or was it Kevin? Sincerely, I can't recall, but the main idea is that William served as a sort of fallback for me. Understand that William is not a villain. He's simply a crazy night is like discovering a new La Croix flavor, according to William, the type of guy who gets enthusiastic about retirement savings. He doesn't even question it while I'm out having a good time with my girls and using his money for bottle service. It me how much he trusts me. But lately, strange things have been happening. He's beginning to realize that I've been going out more and more. He presumably thinks that by organizing these dull date nights, I'll want to stay at home more. He genuinely prepared this elaborate supper and sent me flowers last week. Since I had already made plans to with my pals at this new rooftop bar, I felt a little guilty. What was I supposed to do after all? While he discusses cryptocurrency, why not stay at home and eat his lousy pasta? The irony is that our friends all believe we make the ideal couple. I share all these adorable photos of us on social media with captions like "my provider" or "living my best life with my man." Yet I'm so bored between us that I could scream. But William takes it all in stride. Every time I share something about him on social media, he smiles silly. He seems to genuinely think that we are the ideal relationship. I suppose I'm expressing that I'm at a standstill. Don't get me wrong, the lifestyle is fantastic, but William, he's simply no longer it. I've been considering going back out there lately, to check what I might be missing, not formally or anything. After all, I'm only 27. Should I be content to spend the rest of my life watching him play League of Legends every weekend? And here's the thing. He even recommended that we begin our childbearing journey shortly. Can you picture me as his mother? When he mentioned my wine, I almost choked on it. I mean, I can hardly care for my succulents, much less the entire infant. And this body? With so many possibilities available, I'm not ready to give up my hot girl phase just yet. In fact, the interesting part of this whole situation is when it comes to possibilities. I was out with my girlfriends at this brand new cocktail bar downtown, approximately 2 months ago. Since William was working late once more, debugging something, my buddy Sophia recommended that we check out Velvet. I could sense that something was going to change as soon as we entered. You see, I've been working on myself while William has been at home, getting more at ease with his dad bod and his gaming headset. For example, I now go to the gym primarily for the Instagram photos, but nevertheless, clearly folks were taking notice that evening at Velvet. One of these guys, Mason, who goes by the tag Total Smoke Show, came over to make sure we had our drinks after they continued bringing them to our table. It's evident that he works as a personal trainer. He reminded me of everything William isn't by the way he handled himself. Pure confidence. No awkward giggles, no dumb tech jokes. In the end, we spoke all night. And when I arrived home that evening, I completely neglected to look at any of William's texts. William was still awake and inquiring about my whereabouts. I simply informed him that I had lost track of time with the girls and rolled my eyes. I simply couldn't take him seriously when he tried to lecture me about communication or whatever. Like, my dad, who are you? The amusing thing is that he truly expressed regret for his domineering behavior to me the next day. Sometimes I can't be with him. I went out much more after that night. Why not, after all? I'm spending William's money, and he's always working. I even went back to the gym where Mason used to work. And sure, I might have picked his training time slot on purpose, but can you really blame me? While William is over here getting enthusiastic about a new gaming chair, the man looks like a god. The majority of my pals have also been quite supportive. Although Sophia has been enjoying the drama, Ashley, my former roommate from college, continues telling me to stop and consider my actions. In any case, she married the love of her high school life, and they now reside in a dull suburb. She has no understanding of what it's like to feel stuck. William's attempt to liven things up last week was the thing that finally got me over the edge. In March, he bought these matching Christmas pajamas and proposed that we spend a night playing games together, just the two of us. I was giggling uncontrollably. Mason has been asking me when I'll be returning for another training session while giving me these sexy gym selfies. When William gave me this pricey jewelry for our anniversary, I did feel a little guilty. The fact that he remembered made him feel quite proud. He has no idea that I've been purchasing new clothes for my workouts with Mason using his credit card. However, since he is technically paying for the gym membership as well, what are some adorable Lululemon outfits? After I downloaded Tinder, things really started to get out of control. It was only to look, to see what's out there, I told myself. However, when the matches began to come in, the focus became irresistible. I lost the experience of being desired by someone who isn't, well, William. I also become somewhat careless with it. I wouldn't even get out of the room to text my Tinder matches or Mason. William would be seated there, wearing his headphones and playing his games, totally unaware that I was sexting actual strangers. On one occasion, William was preparing dinner for us while Mason and I were on FaceTime. It was a crazy rush. By now, all of my pals are aware of what is happening. We're calling it that because we have an entire group chat devoted to my predicament. When William raises questions, they assist me in maintaining the integrity of my story. Ashley departed from the group chat, but to be honest, goodbye. That bad energy is not necessary for me. The other girls understand that I'm just going about my life. However, things became a bit too real last week. I think I had too many margaritas while I was at happy hour with my coworkers. I began to exhibit Mason's Instagram is being compared to William's by everyone. It was captured on camera and shared on their story. Thank God William doesn't use Instagram very often, but that was a near miss. I had to act extra lovely to him all weekend in order to repair the damage. I used his personal credit card to purchase a new game for him. It was a little depressing to see how excited he was. However, this is where things quickly started to go south. Do you recall Mason's training sessions? Indeed, they evolved into much more than simple exercises. When everyone else had left the gym after a late-night session, it happened for the first time. After one thing led to another, let's just say that I had a whole different kind of workout. I seemed unable to stop. I began inventing reasons to leave the house, such as dental conferences, work functions, and girls' nights. All of them were believed by William. Like a loyal housewife, he would even bring me small refreshments for my sessions. In the meantime, I was either at Mason's place, in his vehicle, or occasionally even in the gym after work. The part that's crazy? I became so accustomed to the whole thing that I hardly made an effort to conceal it. William would sit directly beside me, and I would have Mason's texts open on my phone. On one occasion, while William and I were eating supper, I even took Mason's call. I simply left the table as if it didn't exist. William simply waited for me to return while he pushed his food around on his plate. With the exception of Ashley, my buddies believe I'm iconic for this whole thing. When I told her about Mason, she blocked me from everything. The other girls, however, are constantly looking forward to the developments. When I tell them about the current incident at our brunch location, they say, "Girl, you're really living your best life." What's the greatest part? William covers the cost of these breakfasts. He believes that I'm keeping up significant friendships. He's not wrong, really. Mason has the ability to restore my sense of vitality. For example, spotting a nice price on Amazon Prime Day is William's definition of enthusiasm. Mason was so eager to meet me that he even picked me up from my dentist office in the middle of my shift. I stayed at his apartment for the remainder of the day after calling in ill. Concerned about my mood, William texted me and offered to stop over for some soup on his way home from work. While Mason and I used William's Uber Eats account to buy takeout, I left him on red. However, I believe William is beginning to suspect things. He attempted to surprise me with lunch at work last week, but I wasn't present. I told him I was cleaning off-site, of course, but I could tell he wasn't quite convinced. He's been planning these pitiful date nights and giving me these dejected puppy dog expressions in an attempt to encourage me to spend more time at home. In fact, he recommended couples therapy last night. Can you picture me sitting in a therapist's office and acting as though I want to work with him on something? When Mason began to appear at locations where he knew I would be with William, that was most likely the tipping point. Mason once unintentionally bumped into us in the produce area of the supermarket store. Mason was simply standing there looking like a complete snack, and William was being his typical clumsy self. Maybe he noticed since he became very quiet on the way home, but William didn't even notice how I could hardly take my eyes off Mason. Then there was this shopping catastrophe. William needed new work clothing, so I accompanied him. Thank God. His employer finally forbade him from wearing hoodies to meetings. In any case, I was constantly making fun of everything William was trying on through texts to Mason, but I unintentionally sent one of the messages to our family group chat rather than my girls' group chat. I was called a lot of derogatory names by William's sister once she viewed it. I had to inform William that my phone had been hijacked and erase the entire conversation. The most bizarre aspect? William still has faith in me, or at least he's trying to convince himself of it, despite all that turmoil. He continues stating that we can overcome anything because we are all in this together. Mason is saved on my phone under the name Dental Supply, and I have a hidden Instagram account where I post thirst traps when I'm purportedly at work. Things got extremely intense last night. Since William, of course, does the dishes, I was messaging Mason on my phone while he was doing them. At this point, he is a walking doormat. In any case, he must have noticed something on my computer because he became very silent and simply stood there, staring at me while his hands were dripping water. I briefly believed that this was the moment he would finally confront me. What did he do instead, though? He went to play his foolish games after apologizing for violating my privacy. Then everything went haywire yesterday. As usual, I was relaxing on the couch and browsing Tinder when William arrived home early from work. Who even does that, really? He had apparently spent the entire day worried about our connection and felt sick to his stomach. I made no attempt to conceal my phone. To be honest, I was a little relieved that he would eventually learn. It was becoming tiresome to sneak about all the time. He held his laptop bag like a shield and simply stood there looking at me with these large, watery eyes. "Do you use Tinder?" With a weak voice, he asked. I must have strained something because I rolled my eyes so hard. I was on Tinder, of course. Did he really believe that I would be attending all those dental conferences? Then he did something that surprised me. He began to cry. Not a few tears, but ugly, full-on crying with snot and all. I have never witnessed anything so pitiful. He kept wondering if he wasn't man enough for me, what he did wrong, and how he could make things right. Even though the last one was definitely answered in the affirmative, it was still kind of, "I can change," he repeated repeatedly, as if it were a broken record. "Please don't leave me. I'll stop playing games, I'll dress better, and I'll work out more." He knelt down in front of me, like that. He was on his knees. I couldn't even look him in the eye because I felt so ashamed for him. I just lost it at that point. The words just spilled out, but to be honest, it felt great to say it at last. "William, I'd literally rather be with anyone else right now." I told him all about Mason, how I never truly loved him, and how in college he was only my fallback option in case Jake and Chris or Kevin didn't work out. Do you want to know what's so messed up? He wanted to work things out even after I told him all of it. "That's precisely the issue," he said. "But you're the love of my life. You're the only woman I've ever been with. We can go to counseling. We can start over. I'll do anything. The only lady you have ever dated is me. How pitiful is that?" In the midst of his meltdown, I showed him photos of Mason on Instagram. William just sat on the floor, browsing through Mason's profile while crying. I said, "Look at him, then look at yourself. What did you honestly expect?" It had the vibes of a kicked puppy. Then, as if it would make a difference, he began bringing up our past. "Remember how special our first time was?" asked the man. It nearly made me giggle. Unique? More like unimpressive and clumsy. However, he was clinging to that recollection as though it were holy. In the meantime, I was considering the possibility that Mason could bench press us both. The finest aspect? Mason really texted me during this whole ordeal. William noticed the dental supply notification, with several eggplant emojis appear. On my phone. I know, it's really subtle. William, however, remained calm and offered to assist me in breaking up with Mason so that we could concentrate on our marriage. This man has absolutely no self-respect, I promise. It was a strange week following that catastrophe. This was the first time I've ever seen William take time off from work without actually being near death. He always made me breakfast, bought me flowers, and sent me lengthy, heartfelt texts about how we could rekindle our romance. In the meantime, I'm messaging Mason about my husband's over-clinginess while I'm in the restroom. This whole relationship renovation thing was initiated by William. I'm serious. He created a PowerPoint presentation about it, complete with charts about love languages, quality time, and other topics. I would somehow forget that Mason exists and has abs you could grate cheese on if he hadn't shared photos of us from college. The most depressing aspect? He began exercising and used his bonus money, which was intended for my summer shopping trip, to purchase all of this home gym equipment. It was similar to witnessing a young giraffe attempt to walk when he attempted push-ups in our living room. Over beverages that were undoubtedly purchased with William's credit card, Mason and I had a nice chuckle over that. His relatives became engaged. He calls me frequently and leaves lengthy voicemails telling me how you could have done this to him and that he deserves better, according to his sister. That's exactly what I've been saying, actually. Although he deserves better, he only wants me and doesn't seem to want anything better. If you think about it, it's a little unsettling. My pals have differing opinions on it. While half of them live for the drama with Mason, the other half believe that I should stay with William for the financial stability, and, to be honest, the fact that he has health insurance. Ashley told me that I was making the biggest mistake of my life in an attempt to create some sort of intervention. What does she know, though? Since she was 15, she has been with the same dull guy. William simply won't accept that it's over, which is the problem. He is constantly discussing our future, having children, and aging together. He even began to look forward to our couples therapy session last night, as though we would be sitting in an office discussing our thoughts and I would become attracted to him once more. To rekindle the spark, he even recommended that we do it the first time. For that one, I literally had to leave the room. Mason finds the entire situation amusing. After everything I've told him, he keeps claiming that William must be too drunk to try again, and he's right. Who pursues someone who has stated that they would like to be with someone else? William seems to be living in a romantic comedy where love triumphs over all obstacles. But this is reality. You don't stay with your gaming-addicted husband just because he was your first choice in real life when your attractive personal trainer sends you sexy pictures. In my own way, I did attempt to be kind about it. I advised William to try meeting new people by downloading Tinder as well. Do you remember what he said? Gag me. But you're the only one I want. This man truly turned his story of virginity into his entire identity. You don't own me, even though I apologized for deflowering. You in college? As if they hadn't witnessed him evolve into this dull, needy mess over the years, his pals have also been texting me, attempting to figure out what went wrong. In fact, one of them dared to mention how William helped me acquire a job, paid off my credit card debt, and helped me pay for college. As in, well, that's what a husband should do. The fact that he chose to invest in a depreciated asset is not my fault. That brings us to the present, and to be honest, I'm finding that things are going rather well. William is here, continues, to cover all expenses and is still making a valiant effort to win me back. I'm living my best life in the meanwhile. The finest aspect? I don't even need to act like I'm at dental conferences anymore because he is now aware of Mason. He sits there like a dejected puppy when I tell him I'm going to the gym, presumably hoping I'll return a different person or something. In fact, last week was very humorous. William attempted to accompany me to the gym. Is it possible? He entered sporting these college basketball shorts. Looking like a divorced father attempting to re-enter the dating scene, G is wearing some vintage Nike sneakers. They exchanged a priceless look, and Mason was there, of course. After around 15 minutes, William left with a vague excuse about a work emergency. I stayed for Mason's and my regular training session. The fact that everyone acts like I'm the villain here is what's really getting to me these days. Like, should I spend my 20s with someone who believes that ordering pizza and watching Twitch streams constitutes a crazy night? Let's face it. William is a 32-year-old virgin tech nerd who probably wouldn't be able to locate the club even if Google Maps drew him a picture. He keeps insisting he'll change. However, let's just say that Mason is knowledgeable about more than simply the equipment used in the gym. Concerned about my safety in the future, my mother called me yesterday. Kinsley, William is a good provider, she said. He adores you. She doesn't understand, though. Don't throw that away for some fling. Not one of them does. I mean, sure. William is steady and does a decent job, but have you noticed Mason's firm abs? Furthermore, despite everything, William is still doing my laundry and paying my auto insurance, so it's not like he's leaving. The most amusing aspect of it all? In fact, William believes that there is yet hope. He wrote a message on my pillow last night stating that he would wait for me to return to him. I was actually texting Mason about our plans for the weekend at the same time. William got this expectant expression on his face when he saw me chuckling at my phone as if I was amused by his melancholy little note. I couldn't bring myself to tell him that Mason's remarks about his workout attire were making me chuckle. The only thing I feel awful about is not doing it sooner, but my friends keep asking if I feel bad about any of this. For example, I might have been living like this instead of wasting so many years acting like I was content with Netflix and relaxing. I see it as recompense for all the evenings I had to pretend to be interested in his gaming competitions, even though it may be a little weird that I'm still having William pay for everything while I'm seeing Mason. In an attempt to regain my trust, William has just granted me complete access to all of his accounts, including his bank and credit cards. He believes that matters will be resolved in some way by increasing financial transparency. I mean, honey, I was already using all of it to pay for my dates with Mason. But what do you know? Who am I to stop him from continuing to play provider when I'm out here having the time of my life? I understand that some readers may find this offensive or whatever, but the truth is that I'm being straightforward. William is simply William. He is not a villain. And while it's not my fault, it's possible that he valued losing his virginity more than I did during my time in college. One inebriated night in a dorm room gave him the idea for this entire future, which he now finds impossible to let go of. Well, that's my tale while I'm out here trying to live my life. Am I pleased with the way things turned out? I may not regret it, but do I? Not at all. William is still here, still paying the bills, still holding out hope. I'm finally enjoying The life I deserve? But Mason continues to look like a complete snack at the gym. A decent man who you're not attracted to is just an extremely dependable roommate. And I didn't sign up for that. Let's face it, even if everyone else thinks I'm insane for dumping a good man,